This is a lot of fun. Boy, I'll tell you, the National Football League, man, they know what they're doing. They absolutely do. And I heard the guys talking this morning. Boy, I'll tell you what, man. A lot of people a little bit more pessimistic than even Big Sills. And with all that being said, by the way, Merrill Reese will join us. That'll be at 4:30. Without further ado, let's bring my boy in, man. He's doing a kick-ass job on Birds 365. My friend, Betsy Zander Krause.
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
How you doing, dude?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
Initial takeaways on what you saw with the Eagle release of their schedule.
I'm feeling dangerous again, Sileo. I'm feeling good. Listen, I don't get no back-to-back home games. I don't get that. That feels like everybody should have a back-to-back home game in a season. I don't get that. I don't get saving the Commanders for 2 of the last 3 weeks. And I'm not mad. Like, I don't think it's a problem for the Eagles that they're there. I just think from a business standpoint, how do you not put the Commanders one game in the early half of the year, one game? If you go one game late in the year, that makes sense to me. But overall, I feel pretty good. I mean, I feel like it's okay. I mean, look, it's a first place schedule. You got a lot of good teams. You got more playoff teams than any team in the history of the NFL on their schedule. You got 10 playoff teams last year. So they're not all going to be playoff teams again, but I do think it's a very tough schedule for sure. And that means iron sharpens iron. By the time the playoffs come, we'll be ready to go.
And that's why I say that just because your record may resemble somebody else's record, and you look at Buffalo's record, does that necessarily mean that Buffalo is going to be a better team than you at that particular week? Because it all depends on who's healthy, who's not healthy, who you've played in the past. Again, you could be actually a better football team in a better place with younger players at an 11-6 record with losing all those guys. You know what? If the Eagles are 11-6 with the players that they've replaced and you're still in the Final Four, what the fuck's the difference?
I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
What's the difference?
Yeah, I think people should have those type of thoughts coming into the season because, you know, your goals shift when you're coming in. You remember how bad the Kansas Chiefs looked that one year? It might have been, was it the year they beat us or was it last year?
No, it was the year you beat them and they won the Super Bowl that year against the Niners.
Against the Niners, right? They looked terrible that year in season. When they got to the dance, and then that's when they turned it on. So I think the Eagles should have that same approach this year, but I think they're going to be ready to win games too. I mean, they're still a great team. Their offense is still great. I don't think the 4 holes on defense are as big of a deal as you keep telling me they are, regardless of how many times you and John will tell me. I think the team's ready to win. I picked 13-4 this morning, and we did the exercise if you had to go up or down one win, and I went down to 12-5. So I think 13-4 is pretty reasonable, though.
All right, let's take a look at it. And let me give you where I was on it here, too, because I want to make sure that I stay to my guns on this thing here. And again, like I said, I think this is margin of error. Okay, I think you have to look at it in the proper context. That
what was your record prediction? I was doing a million things during the
11-6.
11-6 isn't bad at all. It's not bad at all.
Like I said, it's within the 2-game margin of error that we talk about.
Yeah, you and J Mac both had 11-6.
Okay, I didn't know that John had that. Okay, here's what I got here, and I want to do it again here. So let's go to the Philadelphia Eagles. Dude, I'll tell you this: I don't understand the Bills. The Bills were in the AFC title game, and now I know it's the AFC East that's going to pretty much really slant that schedule that way, but holy shit, man. Then they play, so get this, they play the AFC East and the NFC South.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you want Josh Allen in the postseason, dude, but really? I mean, are we going to go there like that? I mean, let's make this thing a little bit more competitive, in my opinion here. All right.
I agree.
So here we go. So this is where I'm at here, and you tell me if you agree or disagree here. So I got the opener. I just don't see Dallas. Dallas, to me, is going to be better later. They're not going to be better early because they don't even know who the hell they are right now. So I think that's a handy victory. So they go 1-0. How do you see that? Was that how you see that?
Yeah, I do. I don't think the Cowboys will be ready to compete in that game. Remember, the Cowboys have a lot of moving parts this year. I think they're going to be a good team, but week 1 is not a good environment for them in Philly with the banner drop, with the crowd, with the raucous crowd. I just don't see that at all. I think the Eagles will handle business pretty easily there. But I will add this caveat. All division games have a weird personality, always. All right. Even you'll have a weird game with the Giants, possibly. Like, you got to take that into a factor. And then I look at, week 2 Chiefs, week 3 Rams, week 4 Bucks. You could look at that and say, boy, they did give you a tough first 4 weeks. I know everybody feels good about the Cowboys. I do too, about beating them. But a division game into the only team that's been better than the Eagles in the last 3 years is the Kansas City Chiefs, into the only team that almost knocked us out of the playoffs last year in the Rams, and in the team that has had our number for the better part of 3 years in the Tampa Bay Bucks. So it's definitely a tough start for sure with the first 4. 3-1 in the first 4.
In Kansas City, I have Kansas City winning that football game. I think they get the justice. That's not going to determine whether or not Kansas City ends up making it. I think they got a tough putt this year. I think they're going to be an 11-win team. And again, I just don't look at the AFC as being that tough this year. I think you've got great quarterbacks on that side of the aisle, but I don't think you have great rosters on the AFC. So that's why when folks are saying Kansas City will take a step back, well, who actually in the AFC is taking steps up? Chargers? Who else?
I think the Chargers have a chance to be better this year. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time buying Herbert. I know he's talented. I'm having a hard time buying him when you need him to win, in the playoffs and stuff like that. But
I think that's the environment around him.
I saw somebody, and on that point about the AFC quarterbacks, I saw somebody talking about, Patrick Mahomes' Super Bowls aren't going to age well because he beat Brock Purdy. He beat Jalen Hurts, obviously, in one. Who's the third quarterback he beat?
He lost to Brady. He beat, like you said, Purdy.
He beat Purdy, Hurts, and who? Why am I blanking on this third name?
Who did he win that game against? Jimmy Garoppolo.
No, Goff. It was Goff. Was it Goff?
No, it was Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G. It was Jimmy G. Yeah, so people were like, someone was saying like the Super Bowls aren't going to age well because of those quarterbacks. And I'm like, well, dude, he had to go through Allen and Burrow every year to get there. It's because all the quarterbacks are on his side.
I know, man.
So I don't think I can hold that against them.
No, it's still, I do see that.
He did lose to arguably one of the best quarterbacks in football in Jalen Hurts, but I digress.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So here, I got Kansas City winning that football game.
Yeah,
Week 3, I got the Eagles beating the Rams. You're going to have to prove to me you're a tough guy.
All right, I'm liking that. I switched that. So the only loss I had in the first, in those first 4 was the Rams. I think that Rams team is pretty good, and I think they want to get us back after that playoff game. But I'm good with the way you put it.
I mean, they got to prove to me they can play tough man football.
Yeah, I agree with that. They got some dudes, but let's see what those dudes can do.
Right. I want to see you in a fist fight.
Yeah,
let me watch you in a fist fight here. So, by the way, we'll read all the supers. Hit the like button, guys. Thank you guys so much here, man. I love doing this. It's a lot of fun. I got the Bucks winning this game down in Tampa, September 28th. I think it'll be a nail biter. I think Bulls will bring pressure. Again, it's not because the offense. I just don't know right now on September 28th what your Swiss cheese defense is going to look like. So I'm picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and right there, that you guys go to what is it now? You won
2-2 for you.
2-2.
I got them winning the Bucks. I got them beating the Bucks.
Kind of like last year.
Every time there is something is getting Jalen. Every time. Whether it's throwing here, whatever the case might be, he seems to exercise the demon. So I think this is the year he walks into Tampa in September and wins that football game with a massive day in the air.
By the way, he's 0-3 in Tampa too.
No, he's not. He's 1-4.
Oh, 1-4 in Tampa?
He beat Tampa in the 23 season.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that.
Regular season. And then they lost the playoff game because he fumbled Ruski into the end zone and got a safety. That was awful.
and Brady knocked the shit out of him. But that was his
watch.
rookie year. I don't really look at it like that with that rookie year like that because that's Brady you're going against too. I mean, come on now. I find it hard to believe that Bo Nix is gonna roll into Lincoln Financial and win that ball game, man. I just don't see that. I think I like Denver's defense a lot, but I don't think they have the offensive.
I'm an Alabama guy, bro. I'm not picking Bo Nix. All right, until that guy, holds a trophy.
You still see him in Auburn colors.
That's all I say. I don't even remember that he went to Oregon. He's an Auburn quarterback, and he stunk it up. All right, so I ain't picking him. I'm not picking him.
I got them.
I got 4-1 through 5.
At 3-2 there. All right. Dude, how about the Giants? Did you hear I think the Giants have a shot to win 4 games this year. Have you seen their schedule?
It's hard. It's hard. It is. It's tough. They got a tough schedule.
Well, then how do you pick Jackson Dart knowing full well you may have a shot next year at Arch Manning?
Are we sold on Arch Manning? Do we know anything about him yet?
Okay. Who are you going to take if you had to pick like a pickup game? Are you taking Arch Manning or Jackson Dart?
I don't know. Listen, I'm an SEC guy. I didn't dislike Dart.
Texas is an SEC team now, Junior. Don't forget.
I'm saying I watched Jackson Dart in college. He was an Ole Miss kid. He was. Remember, I told you months ago. I said he's a sleeper. He could do some things if he goes to the right situation. Now I don't think he's in the right situation, so maybe he won't do shit. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know about Arch Manning yet. Let's see. I mean, he couldn't beat out Quinn Ewers. He went in the 7th round. I mean, what's going on?
All right. So wait now here.
Guy couldn't beat out Quinn.
Got to wait and see him on Jackson Dart. Got to wait and see on John Campbell too, right? Just got to wait and see.
Got to wait and see on him.
Hey, we'll be waiting. We'll be waiting a long time for Jahad Campbell.
I almost forgot about Jahad Campbell.
So did Eagle fans. Let's see here. So I got them winning that. That's 3-2. They're going to kick the snot out of the Giants in week 6. That's
a 4-2 for Sills.
Okay.
5-1 for Zay.
Vikings. Did I hear John McMullen say that? No way, man. Is that Vikings team with the headless horseman up there going to win that game with J.J. McCarthy versus the Eagles? That's not happening. I know it is a tough environment to go to Minnesota, but not happening. 5-2. Then you get the shitty Giants in week 8 again. Good night, almighty.
7-1 into the bye.
I got 6-2 heading into the bye.
That's pretty good for Sills.
Oh, but they'll start. And by the way,
I can tell. There's a bloodbath coming.
Green Bay, not really. Because I think this is going to be, again, a war of attrition on how good your roster is and how deep it is. You had a good lick of injuries a year ago, and you overcame them all. Unlike Detroit, they couldn't overcome it, or the 49ers schedule. And your point, Zander, about the Trey Lance move, you know why the 49ers fell apart last year? Is because all those first-round picks that were cost them a good roster.
I'm with you.
Because they had to get rid of all those picks to go to Miami to get that pick for Trey Lance.
But when I think about the 49ers right now, Sills, there's only one thing I think about, and that's the elephant in the room. All right, like what are they doing with that quarterback? Look, I've been a Brock Purdy defender where people think he sucks, and I'm like, he doesn't suck, but I am not paying that guy $50 million, especially with the system that he's in and the way Kyle Shanahan. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's had how many quarterbacks going through that thing and it worked? I mean, I'm not paying Brock Purdy $50 million, $60 million.
You would pay Jalen based on his ability, but you wouldn't pay Brock Purdy, who's outplayed him as a skilled player by getting the ball around. He has.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Name me one thing he's done. Name me one thing as a skilled player Brock Purdy hasn't done better than Hurts.
What did Brock Purdy do in the Super Bowl when the lights got bright?
I didn't ask you that. I asked you as a skilled player.
Yeah, but that's not the only thing that wins games.
Do better than him. He doesn't throw the ball better than him.
That's not the only thing that wins games.
He doesn't throw to the talent around him as good as he does. Every single thing he does, he throws as a pocket guy on what that system is asking him to do. He does it as good as anybody in the league. And all these other guys are getting paid. Name me a thing Dak's done more than Purdy.
Well, I think Dak's a great
that guy's making $60 million.
I I don't think that's everything that wins games is Brock Purdy
Okay.
being a little bit better in the pocket than Jalen.
I don't see one thing Dak does better than Brock Purdy. I just don't.
Dak or Jalen?
Dak.
You don't think Dak is better than Purdy?
I'm asking you, what's one thing you see better that he does that constituted him making 60?
Well, that's a fair question. I mean, that's a different conversation. Dak Prescott. I think
That's what you just said, paying him. If Dak Prescott gets $60 million for having CeeDee Lamb and they don't win.
So all right, I understand. You're criticizing then the decision to pay Dak, which I would agree with, but then why would you pay Purdy?
How about this? Not only that decision, the decision to pay Trevor Lawrence, the decision to pay Kyler Murray, the decision to pay all the rest of these guys. This guy's put numbers up, and he's been to a Super Bowl.
What did Philly 500 say to you yesterday? He said you like prom queen quarterbacks. Is that what he said?
Bro, no, I like guys who are successful quarterbacks, and he is. 1 year hurts 1 year down, and that guy's a bum? I don't think so.
I didn't say he was a bum. I just said that's a tough predicament to be in when you have a roster that already needs cap cuts and they're in hell with no first-round picks in the past, and now you got to pay him. I don't know if you're paying him $50 million. Well, they don't know. Wouldn't they have done it by now, Sills?
I don't know. I listen, I know this. The cuts that are coming next are Trent Williams. Boy, I'll tell you this too, man. You got to determine what you're going to do with Fred Warner because he makes $25 million.
You better not let him go.
No. Hey, sometimes when you're not handling your cap right, you got to let freaking players go you don't want to let go, man. I mean, Bosa makes $36 million.
Well, you asked me the question the other day, like, if Jalen got hurt, the Eagles could win 10 games because of how good their roster is. And I understood your point, but don't you kind of feel like the same if Purdy gets a good? I mean, I think they should have drafted Will Howard or Kyle McCord. I was surprised that they didn't, but they didn't. They didn't. We picked up McCord. Yeah, I don't know.
McCord would have been a good pick for them. That would have been a great pick for those guys there.
Yeah, he's a pocket passer. Guy who gets the ball out.
Bro, I'm with you on one thing, man. $60 million is a little large for me to go with Brock Purdy there, man. I'm more in the 50 room. I'm like
that's going rate though. That's the problem,
I know. I mean, because look, if you're the agent, you go, what has that guy done? I mean, I'm way more successful than that guy. You could make the argument he's the third most successful NFC quarterback in the NFL right now, behind Jalen and Stafford. You couldn't name me another successful guy in the last 5 years in the NFL and the NFC. He's third. Okay, let's go here now. I think they win that game up. Like I said, heading into the bye against New York, they're 6-2. This Green Bay game, man, I mean, look, I disagree with people. No way, man. The Eagles are rolling up there, man, and you're going to have to show me, Green Bay.
You know who's going to have to show me? Jordan Love. It's about Jordan Love for me. Everybody, before he kind of has had this experience, people talked about him with this talent. Like he was like the next coming. I'm like, all right, let's see it. And every time he gets in a big moment, he doesn't really show it. So it's Jordan Love for me. I got the Birds winning that as well.
I got the Eagles losing this November 16th game to the Lions.
It's a tough one.
At home. I think this is going to be really a roster game too.
Can I try and convince you the other way on one thing?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, man.
That's a dome team, man, coming to Philly in November on Sunday Night Football in Philly. I don't know if they're ready for that. I'm sorry. That team, just like you said about the Rams, you got to show me you can beat a bully. I don't know if the Lions are built like that, man. I really don't. I think they're a great offense. They're a pretty team. They got all the aesthetic and everything. In Philly, Sunday Night Football in November, I don't like that for them, man.
Playing in that North?
Yeah.
Where you're playing good teams and could be beat up again?
That's true. They got good competition in their division.
I'll tell you one thing also that I said about Philadelphia earlier. The greatest thing about the Eagles roster, even though I believe there's a ton, there's not a ton, there's holes on it. I still think that roster is built for shit weather, for domes, for anything. Because why? They don't throw the ball. And the advantage is this. They run it. They can run it in rain. They can run it in snow. They can run it in a dome. How many teams do you see that are passing finesse teams? They get out of that dome, they get rolled when they have to go and play in December games outside. It's a good point.
That's the one thing, because I was kind of a push on that game because I do like the Lions. I mean, I think they're a great squad. I do have questions about the coordinators. We'll see, because I felt like Jared Goff was, really thrived in that system they had him in, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to replicate it the same way. But it's going to be a good team. There's no way. I have no issue with you picking the Lions, but
you know what? It's a great argument you have, but I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to go 8-3 with this with the Lions winning this game. I think this game here, November 23rd, I think the Cowboys win this game.
Yeah, I have a win for the Cowboys.
The Cowboys get better by the end of the season. I got the Cowboys. I looked at their schedule and I went through it. I got them. They're better than I thought they could be potentially.
Yeah, I think their schedule. They got
9-8.
Yeah. Well, I have them. I have them with 10 wins. I think.
Okay. And margin of error between 3 wins there. Okay. So I got the Cowboys winning this game in Arlington. So I got them there, and that puts them that's the Cowboys. So I got that. That's 8-4 for Philly.
Yeah, I had them win losing that game as well. I have them splitting with the Cowboys. So that had me at 9-2 because I have them beating the Lions and the Packers, which is 2 tough games off the bye.
Now, I will say this. You know what? They've done a lot of good things in Chicago. They've improved the team, but to what end? Like, is that a football team that in that division, the NFC North, you see it?
Did you see the story that came out today about Caleb Williams?
No.
And I don't think it's a problem with the player. I mean, people will make it this, but it shows you that his worries about going to Chicago were warranted. So a story came out today. Seth Wickersham from ESPN's writing.
Excellent. He follows me on Twitter too. I love Seth.
He's good. He is a good reporter. People don't like him because he gets the controversial stuff, but he does get good information.
I like him.
So he reported today basically that the Williams family was trying to do anything they could, basically, even exploring signing in the UFL just so they could get the free agency because Ryan Poles told him on the phone, no matter what, we're drafting you. And his dad had said to him, Chicago is literally where quarterbacks go to die, bro. Like, if we can do something to get out of this, I think it makes sense. And you could say it's conceded because there's a guy getting the first overall pick, but I don't disagree with him. And then another thing comes out. Nobody even told or taught Caleb Williams how to watch film in the NFL last year. Nobody sat with him. It was all in his own time, on his own thing.
Did you hear what the backup quarterback was doing up there?
No, what's that?
The backup quarterback, every time the kid was saying something up there, he'd do this. Or whoever the backup guy was there last year, they didn't have a really good quarterback.
Yeah, so that's my point of he was right. That's a shitty organization. John talks about this all the time. What's the one GM who said to John before, organizations fail quarterbacks far more than quarterbacks fail organizations. So,
Mike Tannenbaum, that sounds like a Mike Tannenbaum line.
Yeah. I don't know if Ben Johnson will be able to get that thing back on the rails in 1 year, but it's pretty obvious why when you look at Caleb Williams' game tape, why he was making some of the mistakes he was making because nobody was freaking there helping him at all, and but I don't know. That came out and I'm like, yeah, Chicago's not ready to win yet.
Why didn't he just go back to USC then? He had another year.
Yeah, I wonder that too.
I mean, why wouldn't you just go back?
He probably would have made so much money, and he definitely would have been the first overall pick this year too.
Absolutely. Why don't you just go back to Southern Cal, man? I mean,
well, then he would have ended up in the Titans.
Okay, yeah. A worse scenario. Hey,
yeah,
but
right.
I gotta. But you know what though? If I'm Caleb Williams, I gotta at least do this. Chicago's at least trying. I mean, they're trying to put personnel around the kid.
That's what I mean. I got to talk to John about that tomorrow because we had obviously that debate on Ryan Poles. And I'm like, I think Ryan's done okay. And I wonder, is this more of an indictment, this article on Poles, or is it more of an indictment on the organization as a whole? Which, yeah, I agree. Which would show you that Ryan Poles himself is fighting an uphill battle, as the GM.
Yeah, because he's got to fight ownership because they're cheap. Hey, people don't want to say this about the Bears, but Virginia McCaskey was very cheap with the money in Chicago, and that's why she ran the Bears like the Browns run the Bengals. So I mean, they're very cheap in how they do this.
Yeah.
All right. So I think they handle business with the Bears. I don't think that's, and I think they're 9-4 with the Bears win. So I think they take care. I think this December 8th ball game with the Chargers on the road is going to be tough, but I don't know. I don't know. Do I really look at the Chargers and say, boy, what a great run defense they have? No, I don't. And to me, whenever in doubt, always look at this when you're watching and looking at an Eagle game. Okay, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket passing wise, can they run you out of the ballpark with their running game? Yes. That's why they beat the Chargers.
Yeah, see, I picked the Chargers to win this game. I don't know why I did, but I just kind of had it in my gut. I almost felt like I was picking too many Eagles wins. I looked for a game that I could get away with not picking the Eagles to win. I'm like, I think they're not going to go 15-2. I got to pick some losses. So I picked the Chargers as a loss, but we'll see how it happens. I think they're going to win, honestly. But I still picked them as a loss, but I think they're going to win, honestly.
All right. So this is what I have. I have you. I mean, like, I don't even know what's going on in Geno Smith. Hey, I think Geno's a good ball player and all. I mean, you got the Raiders at home at Lincoln Financial, which will be pretty cool looking, seeing that helmet inside that building, but that's about the only thing that's going to look good. So that's going to be 11-4. Now you're coming down to this really weird ass.
Wait, who'd you just pick? The Raiders? Yeah.
No. I didn't pick the Raiders. I
meant the game. Yeah, you picked
to
win. All right, so you're at week 16 now.
Yeah, I mean, this really weird ending. Now, I mean, I think Washington, they're not sweeping Washington.
No, I don't think so either. I picked Washington to win that first game.
I got Washington to win this ball game here, and that's going to be 11-5. I got Buffalo winning this game in Buffalo. Now, look, I'll tell you what, if there's any team, and I'll make this point to Eagle fans, and I want you to know, I think this is going to be a coin flip game, because what is the one thing that Philadelphia has that reminds everybody of one team in the AFC that every time they go to New England or they go to Buffalo, what gives them that advantage in winning? Every time the Baltimore Ravens go up to Buffalo or New England when they were good, what was the one thing? They had a running game. That means I don't give a shit what the weather is in Buffalo. The Eagles have a running game. They can run in snow, sleet, hail. They can run in a forest fire. They can run in anything.
Yeah.
They can run in an apocalypse.
So
they're going to be able to run the ball.
Yeah, I agree. Listen to this take on this game.
I still have the Bills winning this game.
All right, so here's where I agree with you and where I potentially disagree with you. Because when I originally did my schedule, I did do the Eagles to lose the Bills. You know, and I'm talking to John this morning. He made up such a good point. If you look at that division, Sills.
Oh, it's totally.
There's nobody that even has a chance to win that division outside of Buffalo. So you wonder by week 17, there's a really good chance that they have that locked up. Now, they might be fighting for an AFC seat overall, right. But if everything is already, there's a chance that game doesn't matter too much for Buffalo. Maybe it won't. I think it will matter. But if it matters, I could see Buffalo winning that game.
But here, I think it matters for home field.
Right.
Okay.
If they're fighting for the 1 seed, it will, for sure.
Right. I think you're going to be fighting for some of those teams in the AFC West, maybe somebody in the North. I think you're going to be fighting for one of those teams.
Yeah.
So that's why I say that game's going to matter for Buffalo.
I mean, Sills, let's be real. We all watch your show every single day. There's not a person in here who thought you were picking the Eagles to beat your Joshy Poo.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm taking the best quarterback on the fucking planet right now.
Nobody thought you were picking the Eagles over Joshy Poo.
Now, here, I got you winning that Washington game. So that makes you 11-6.
I like it. Not bad. Not bad. If you had to go up or down, what would you do?
Oh, up.
Up to 12?
Yeah. I would like here. Like, could they win that Lions game? Look at this. Watch this. Are they? Well, would I favor Cowboys over the Eagles? No. Would I favor Kansas City over Philly? A pick'em game, a push game in week 2. Maybe I'd pick the Eagles +1. The Rams, I'm going Eagles in that game +3, +4. The Bucks, that's a tough one. I would go +1 Bucks because it's at home and they've had great success against them. Denver +7. Giants +14. Minnesota +6. New York +12. Green Bay in Lambeau +3. Remember something, when you are +3 going into somebody's building, that's like a +6. Detroit at home.
The hard part about doing this whole exercise for me is that I could talk myself into winning any game. I think the Eagles are better than all these teams.
Yeah, look at that. Like I'm telling you.
I can't pick 17-0. They're not going to go 17-0, but
I think the only game that they're not going to be favored in this year, if you did it today, would be one of the Washington games.
I think they'd be favored in them.
And I think the Bucks, maybe the Bills. I don't know. Late, depending. I don't know.
Bills late could be a push. Bills late because that's in Buffalo.
What do you think the Cowboys spread's going to be in Arlington? Week 12.
Week 12. Eagles -3.5, probably 3. Because I think the home opener, the opener's 7 right now.
Look at that. We're right on the number. Good.
Well, if it's 7 and the Birds are home, if you think the Cowboys are home, I think the Cowboys are going to probably have won a little bit more games than people think by that point. Because I think their schedule gets harder after their bye week for the Cowboys. It starts a little easier. They have like the Panthers. They got a couple teams that they should be able to beat. But yeah, I think 7-ish, 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I look at it. I want to show.
I do think we're going to split with the Cowboys, though. And I know people will go, why? Well, I just think division games have their own, have their own feel. Always doesn't matter, kind of sometimes. I mean, you remember we went to overtime with Washington, back when they had Sam Howell, for crying out loud. So I just think that I think the Cowboys will get one. I think Commanders will get one. I think we'll sweep the Giants, though.
Watch this. So here's the Bills. So Baltimore, let's just say Baltimore wins that game. Then you play the Jets, Miami, New Orleans, New England, Atlanta, and Carolina. I mean, you're 6-1 going to Kansas City.
Yeah.
How's that? Then you got Miami, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New England, KC, Tampa, then New England, Cleveland, and Philly, and then the Jets. That team made the AFC title game last year, dude.
Yeah,
how are you getting that shitty? I get it. It's the AFC East. You're playing them twice, those shitty teams twice. I get it. And I get it's in the cycle. But, dude, that's a 13-win team. And they're not going to be better than many of the AFC. Dude, I looked at the Rams, Washington. We looked at a couple of the other teams in the NFC. I'm telling you, I think the best rosters are in the NFC this year. I think the better quarterbacks are still in the AFC.
They are. I mean, you got Allen,
but rosters win Super Bowls, dude.
That's true. It's true. No doubt about it. I mean, I think this Eagles team is positioned nicely. There's another good point here I want to bring up, though, while we talk about this schedule. Yale brings up all these teams will be gunning for Philly. That is something to account for, right? I mean, when you're the top dog, everybody comes in and wants to beat the top dog. That's just how it is. That's the nature of the beast. So you got to factor that in as well. Everybody's going to want to give the Eagles their best shot.
So let me ask you this coming season here for you. With that schedule, and I want to show you this here. And I want you to put into consideration something here for me when we're talking about guys that are going to be leaned on again here. Now watch this. I'm going to run the ball at Dallas. I'm going to run the ball at Kansas City. I'm going to run the ball at the Rams.
Remember, Kansas City stopped it effectively.
Bro, I get it, but you've got to run the ball.
Spags is the one guy that does in his head have the blueprint. He knows what to do.
And that's why I think it'll be a different game this time.
That's why Jalen Hurts going to shred them boys in the air.
Let's see if he can do it again.
Let's say 350.
Yeah, because yeah, that's right. Because you unlike what Philly 500 wants to say, you bring them out when you need them. Or no, wait, I forgot. You guys don't debate that. I've whatever it is.
I'll debate anything you want.
The Rams run the ball. You got to establish the run against the Bucs, because if you don't, Bowles is going to do the one thing that he does to Hurts all the time: blitz him, move him. He moves them around in the pocket better than anybody in the league. I'm going to run the ball at Denver. I'm going to run the ball, believe it or not, at New York. Minnesota. Dude, the reason they got those 2 tackles, Hargrave and Allen, is to try to stop the Eagles. Dude, you realize they recruited those guys especially for you, Minnesota. You understand
absolutely.
that? I mean,
Absolutely.
and Detroit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and Detroit.
So I wonder how much of a surge in running backs you're going to see this year, coming off of what Saquon did last year.
And the salary that Bart and Henry just signed.
I know. He's 31, man. Saquon's got to be licking his chops, like, lock in, man. I can get another big contract after 30, man. Which is unheard of for running backs. So that's pretty impressive right there.
I'm going to run the ball at Green Bay, Dallas again, Chicago. I'm going to run the ball at the Chargers. How much of an impact do you think, again, I mean, what exactly are your expectations coming into this year with Jalen? I mean, what is his role this year? His role was defined last year.
It was. And every year it's looked a little different. Every year has called on him to be a different version of a quarterback. This year, I'm looking for everything he's done in the last 3 years and kind of put it together and have a little bit more balance. I think balance will serve us better in the long run as a team and as an offense. You obviously are still going to have the weapon of Saquon, but, you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. You can't let them die on the vine. You got to keep using them. You got to get them the ball. I think it's going to be a little bit more passing this year, because I think it's going to call for it with defensive coordinators coming in. But I'm looking at 3,400 yards passing Sills. I'm looking at another 600 rushing, another 10 touchdowns rushing, probably 20 to 25 passing touchdowns. And I think that's it. I think that's right there. I mean, do what you got to do to win the game. But I think that's going to be enough for this team to win, man. The whole offense is coming back. I don't think you got to overcomplicate this thing because, there's narratives about you. Who cares? Fuck the narratives.
No. Well, again, how about this? If he plays the same way he did a year ago, not having the same defense, what's the outcome of the Eagles?
Say that again. If he has the same what?
If he has the same season, and that offense has the same season it had a year ago.
Including Saquon?
Yeah. And yeah.
And what'd you say? And you lose your number one defense?
And you don't have the number one defense like you have. Where are you right now? How do you see that?
Probably go 11-6 and lose in the second or third round in the conference championship or the divisional.
And I would say this to you in a retort positively. If you get into the divisional or you get into the conference and you got that record, even Zander, that's a win for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, Sills, where you're right is this, and fans will get mad at you because they take it as an insult on the quarterback. I have no problem with fans who get upset, but this is where you're correct. Having the 29th ranked passing offense is not something that you want. Okay. Even if that's what it was dictated last year and it worked, it's not something you approach and say, oh yeah, we're good with that. I mean, this is what makes athletes great is they're already great and they look at things that they need to do better. Michael Jordan, you think he needed to work on his game? Hell no, but he still did. Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, same thing, right? So this team is going to look and say, where do we get better? It is in the passing game. Now, Philly 500 brought up a good point where they weren't inefficient last year. He had 70% completion percentage. Jalen was pretty efficient. They just didn't go to that well because they pulled off after week 4. So I think you want to be a little bit more balanced this year, and you got to get up a little bit. You got to get the top 20, I'd say, passing offense. You don't want to be down at the bottom, man. I mean, you look at some of the teams they were with down at the bottom there. Some of the worst teams in football.
Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't want to be that. You don't want to strive for that. So strive for better. If we don't need to, and you're still winning, who cares? but you still want to strive for better.
Can I tell you where that reared its head last year in an ugly moment when you don't have a balanced attack? Or how about this? Because it sounds like you can't when I say that. When you don't have the philosophical or mentality to have a balanced attack, you know where it catches you? You're in games against the Jacks in Carolina, and you don't need to be like, dude, of all things, you're blowing out the Ravens. You're killing the Ravens. How are you in a game against Carolina?
I know. It's a good point.
How are you in a game against the Jags? You're not supposed to be in games like that.
I don't think that's a bad thing to say, that the team that's 29th in passing wants to improve on passing. I mean, that's not rocket science, everybody. That's very normal. So I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I agree. And I think sustainability. Jalen's 26 years old. I mean, if you think you're going to win every season by handing it off, and having a great D, you're not. You're not going to have the best defense in football every year. You're not going to have a running back who does what Saquon Barkley did last year every year. So being more versatile will serve them best in the long term.
Okay. Right now, on this day, May 15th, can you say that you have the same, less, better depth on this team right now with a tougher schedule and a week-to-week game where, you're like Alabama in the SEC or Georgia. You're playing good teams every week. You're playing competitive teams that are going to be good every week.
Yeah.
Do you believe that you have the roster to overcome nicks and bruises? You did it wonderfully a year ago. Guy stepped in. Man, I'll tell you what. I never saw drop-off with any of the backups last year when their role was called. Do you have that same thing, in your opinion, playing a tougher week-to-week schedule?
Well, I think on paper, you're without a doubt worse. I mean, I don't think it's hard to say that and admit that. Where I'm a little bit more optimistic is that I do believe some of these guys who are going to have to step up will be able to step up better than we're anticipating. You're not wrong that it's hope, it's optimism, it's all those things. But, I think backup linebackers right now, I think Trotter's going to be better than people think. I even think Smile Munden has a chance to unseat Trotter because he's a much more polished player coming into the league. Now, we'll see about that. I'm high on Moro Ojomo. I don't think Milton Williams is as irreplaceable as you do. I think Moro Ojomo will be pretty good there. Now, the question would be, how good is the guy behind him? What's Ty Robinson can do? I think he could be a pleasant surprise. What does Thomas Booker can do? I'm not a big fan of Thomas Booker, but, the edge rushers are interesting because you did lose Sweat, and you're really hoping that Jalix Hunt is better. But that's a big hope, and a lot of fans feel good about him, and I'm good with that. I feel pretty good about him too, but that's a big if. That's a really big if.
Let me ask you this combination question: do you feel better with Milton Williams and Moro Ojomo, or do you feel better with Moro Ojomo and Ty Robinson?
Milton Williams and Moro Ojomo was better. I mean, you had more experience there. You had, there was a lot of things obviously there. So Jalix is still
matters what you have now.
You have Ty now, excuse me, not Jalix. Ty's unproven, obviously, he's a rookie player. And then you have Ojomo, who was really good. And Sills, he didn't play nothing. He played 400 snaps last year. That's pretty decent. So that's a good sample size. I feel like Ojomo is going to be all right.
Most of them in nickel, the first and second
down.
That's
correct. 100%. Almost all of them in nickel.
Yeah,
I think 320 out of 420 were
in nickel.
So, most of them in nickel, 100%. And
he's going to be asked to play first and second down this year, which he was not put in. And by the way, Vic didn't put him in. Maybe they put Robinson in there.
I was going to say to you, any chance you think Ty Robinson?
Yeah, I do think one thing I've learned about what Fangio will do, if he sees the best guy, no matter what it says with 1 or 10 years, he's going to put that guy in that role there.
Yeah.
And he's going to drop that role. See, that's what I'm looking at too. Like, watch this, Zander.
Speaking of Ty Robinson, the Eagles just signed his rookie deal, so he's officially done.
Okay. Slay and Isaiah Rodgers or Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's not close.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
I agree.
Guys, I look at groupings because a unit is a group, and it can't just be we have Carter, we have you've got to look at what really won for you. You had versatility all over the freaking board last year, dude.
You're right. I mean,
you're right. All over the place. And they were guys. Look, one thing Vic did that is no doubt that wasn't obvious. That kid can do that. This kid can't do that. So let's put him over here and do this. And he really figured out the jigsaw puzzle. He's going to be asked to do that again. I think this year is going to be tougher for him to do that than it was a year ago, because I think there's more unknowns on what kind of groupings he has with players. He doesn't know what Moro Ajomo and Ty Robinson look like. Okay? He had some game film on Booker prior to going into last year and Milton. He kind of knew what he had with that group, and he went with the better kid. You know what I'm talking?
No, I hear you. I mean, do you is there any guys in your head, and I know you like to joke about this, but I mean it from a serious note, like, is there any players on the team right now that haven't proven it yet that you feel like have a good chance to be, like, from what you've seen, from what you've heard, from their measurable, anything, any players there that you think has the biggest
impact that you drafted this year? I think that kid from Georgia, that linebacker, is going to be your starting linebacker your opening week.
I could see it. I could see it 100%. That kid was really good at Georgia, man.
Man, I'll tell you what, you put a game film on him, watch him play, bro. That dude scraped sideline. You know what he kind of looks like? He looks like a little bigger version of Nakobe Dean.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It's kind of ironic because him and Nakobe Dean are buddies, and you can almost look at him and be like, that's your replacement, Nakobe, bro, unfortunately.
I think that guy – let's get to some of these superstars. We have Merrill Reese coming up.
Yeah, let's do it. Appreciate everybody, by the way. I hope everybody's having a great Thursday here. Hollywood Hogan says, Sills and Zander trying to rehab at a hotel and traveling every other week. We'll add toll on the team. Ask the 49ers on traveling. Great show, guys. Yeah, but Hogan, here's where I feel all right about. You're right, by the way. You're 100% right. But the NFL put up a graphic of how many miles each team.
I saw that.
The Eagles are not much. They're bottom 10. It's like 15,000 miles. The top one's like 38,000.
Exactly. You know, how do you not get a back-to-back home game near the World Championship?
I know that's crazy. But
I mean, how do you now? Wait a minute. Let me ask you this. So let me look at that buy.
Here it is, by the way. Let me just see if I can show this real quick. So you can see that this is the graphic. Let me turn off my.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
Blurring a little bit. But so 37,000 miles for the Chargers. All right. That's how far they have to travel. The Eagles are 15,000. The Cowboys are 19,000. The Rams are 35,000. So the San Francisco, Hogan, to your point, 28,000 miles. So I hear you, but you're not going as far. The travel's not as intensive when you're in the East.
That's right. See this here, like Yale says, it's tri-state. Exactly, I mean, look, when you're going Washington, New York,
and when you're in LA or Dallas, exactly, you're in LA or San Fran, you're moving, you're going so
Seattle,
far. Yeah,
Arizona.
You're right. You're not in your home bed. I agree with you, Hogan.
Yeah. I mean, but still, I mean, you're an hour away. You know what I mean? If you're like an hour and 60 minutes away from New York. If you're Philly, right? Hour 80, 2 hours?
2 hours, 2.5, yeah.
2.5 hours to get up there, right?
Yeah, 2 hours. I mean, the traffic getting into the city.
Yeah, 95.
So right. that adds a bunch to it. Kokorski, what's up, brother? He says this team might be a top 20 defense in September, but come December could be top 10. I think that's a pretty good take.
Now, here's what I'm saying, Kyle. I don't think it's going to be the meltdown of 23, but I do not believe you're going to – I think this is going to be a slower grow this year than it was a year ago. But that doesn't mean you're going to be bad. I'm not saying you're bad.
No, I agree. What's this new one? Leon says, who's your arch rival, Jason Cole or Mike M?
I have
neither.
I don't
Leon says, who gets the top 4 seeds in the NFC? Bucks will win the South. Eagles will win the East. Lions will win the North. Rams will win the West. That's my top 4 right there.
Okay.
Eagles, Rams, Lions, Bucks.
Well, that sounds right.
You think you agree with me with those division winners?
No, yeah, I do. Yeah. I got Detroit in there. Do you put Detroit in there?
Detroit won the North. Yeah, I have Detroit winning the North. Yeah. All right, that's all of them. Appreciate everybody.
Fantastic stuff, Zander. As always, my friend, I appreciate that. We will see you tomorrow morning on Birds 365. Thank you, brother.
I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
You got it. Really love the fact that earlier in the week we had Boomer Esiason on. Tomorrow we're going to have Phil Simms on with us. And Can't wait to talk to those guys because I'll tell you what, you look at New York right now, boy. I don't know how that team wins 5 ball games.